Well, even with just 3 nights and 2 full days in Bucharest, we still saw a lot and learned some things about this fascinating historical city. To get here, I flew from Orange County, California, through San Francisco and Frankfurt, Germany, arrived here in Bucharest in the evening, and caught an Uber to the Hilton Garden Inn, which is ideally located at the edge of the Old Town District. And yes, Uber does work here, actually quite well from my experience. The following day I spent on my own, walking the city center and the Old Town District. Walking in a fairly random way, I admit, due to my lack of familiarity with the city. But as usual, equipped with my video camera, my phone, and a very detailed tourist map that I picked up from the hotel. Local tourist maps are great for filling in the detail that Google Maps just doesn't seem to provide. And when I arrive at a new city, I do like to walk the city streets, the alleyways and parks. It gives you a good lay of the land, and you get the general vibe of a place. The following day, I joined an organized tour group, which I will be traveling with for the rest of my stay in Romania, the next 10 days or so. We kicked off our tour with some sightseeing by bus and also on foot in central Bucharest.
This will be our bus from now on, so for the entire duration of the trip, this will be our home away from home. And the seating rotation will be at the front door.
Our tour director, Christina, gave us the usual orientation information about the tour. Then we were joined by a local guide who would lead us around some of the main sites in central Bucharest.
A lot of time to learn a little bit of Romanian, so should start with this. Bună dimineața is not the easiest thing to pronounce in Romanian, but this is how we say good morning. I hope you're ready for this tour. Yeah, it's not much time for the introduction because we are in the city center already, so we have to go straight to business because there are lots of things to show and to talk about during the sightseeing tour. So you are located right in the north of the old town, or the historic center of Bucharest, and I hope you had a comfortable sleep last night in spite of the money smell, right? Because you are right across the street from the National Bank of Romania. Okay, I will take a seat because I want you to see through the windshield, so if I sit there I will block the view. So our plan for today is to have a sightseeing tour in the morning from here all the way to the north of the city, all the way to the square of the Free Press, and then return, make a stop in the Revolution Square, one of the iconic squares of Bucharest, and down to the Palace of the Parliament, where we'll have a visit starting at 10:30. So this square located very close to your hotel, it's called the University Square. The central building of the University of Bucharest is located on your left hand side, and fortunately the building is right now in restoration. Fortunately, all those ugly graffitis on this beautiful building will disappear. And with this occasion, I'd like to remind you that not so long ago, our city was also nicknamed the Little Paris. And on the left-hand side, the building of the University of Bucharest is one of the examples of how much our city looks like the French capital, because, well, it may not be so clear right now because the building is covered by all those scaffoldings and advertising, but the building of the University of Bucharest was inspired by the University of Sorbonne from Paris, France. The University Square is considered the heart of the city because close to the square in front of the National Theatre. It's the kilometer zero. So basically from here we start measuring all the distances in Bucharest. We'll take one of the central avenues now towards the north. It's called Magheru Boulevard. If you take right, you will reach the largest square of Bucharest called the Union Square. It's exactly the place where the old town or the historic center of Bucharest ends. So as you will see a little bit later, before the end of our tour, the old town is quite a small area today, unfortunately. On the right hand side, at the building with the letters T and B at the top, it's the National Theatre of Bucharest, and in front of it there is this group of statues representing different characters from different playwrights, and in front of the statues there is the sign showing the kilometer zero. On the right hand side, this very quite tall building, it's the former Intercontinental Hotel. Only a couple of years ago it changed the brand, and for a couple of decades it was the highest building in Bucharest. Our city, it's a medieval city. It was established in 1459, and there is a document signed by the Prince Vlad the Impaler marking this moment, but there are some places in town even older than that, like just a little bit farther south from your hotel, the remains of the court of the palace of the rulers. It was definitely built before Vlad the Impaler, although the historians are not sure at what age. Yeah, this is yeah, it's an area where the architecture is it's quite hard to define, because there are some nice Art Deco style buildings, like this one on the left hand side, the white one, Lido Hotel. Well, quite pretty building, but there are several other apartments from the 1970s, 1980s, not so pretty, because when this boulevard was enlarged there were some demolitions, plus on 4th of March 1977 we had an earthquake of 7.4 degrees on the Richter scale, and there were some important damages in this area. Several buildings collapsed. It was known back to 1970s, 1980s as the boulevard of the cinemas, of the most elegant cinemas and theaters of Bucharest. But unfortunately nowadays those beautiful cinema halls are closed down, because now people, well, they continue to go to the cinema for watching movies, but they go to the mall. Yeah, they go to the mall because in the mall they have at least 10 cinema halls in each mall, so they can choose. They arrive there and they decide on the spot what movie they want to see, while here, where it's one cinema hall, it's one movie, so you can choose. This is the problem. Underneath this boulevard there is the second lane of the subway. You can see one of the entrances here on the right hand side. Always the letter M stands for metro, for subway. There is a station also closer to your hotel, right under the University Square. So this lane goes under this boulevard from Union Square to University. Then here this square is called the Roman Square, and all the way up to the north. In a Roman Square we can see on the right hand side this strange mixture of buildings. They are part of the Academy of Economical Sciences. So in the center there's an old house. The white one is the office of the Dean of the Academy. On its left hand side it's the main building of the academy from the 1930s, and then next to it and at the top of the small building, it's a brand new one, suffocating almost the office of the dean. I don't know how they were led to build such a thing, but apparently it was possible. Then after the Roman square begins one of the nicest and one of the most expensive areas of Bucharest, where you can observe on each side of the road the old villas that belonged before or after the First World War to different rich families of bankers, doctors, businessmen, politicians as well. Nowadays, many of them are used for embassies or for offices. And after they were confiscated by the Communist Party, because Romania, you must know, it was a communist country between 1946 and 1989. At the beginning of the communism, all the rich, the expensive properties were confiscated by the government, the same like all the businesses, factories, everything was taken over by the state, because one of the goals of the communists was to make people equal, right? But not to make all of them rich. On the contrary, although we had this phrase in communism that some people were more equal than others. And those people were, the special ones were the members of the regime, who represented the exception. We are advancing towards the Victory Square. It is called like this in a memory of the victory of the Romanian army in the independence war from 1877-78 against the Ottoman Empire. It is also an interesting mixture of communist apartment buildings down on this side of the square in the south. Then on the east, which means on your right hand side, it's the Victory Palace. It's the house of the Romanian government, built after the First World War. While on the western side of the square, on your left, there are some interesting museums. The first one with the giraffe in front, it's the Museum of the Natural History. And then there is a bit taller building with a tower. It's decorated in bricks. I wait for a moment, we're getting far, and unfortunately the other boulevard in parallel with this one is already shut down, Kiselev Boulevard. This is in the north. From your hotel you'll reach the easiest the southern side of Sibiu. So right after this nice late 19th century palace, on the right begins Sibiu Garden. And very soon afterwards we arrive in the Revolution Square. We'll make a stop.
We stopped to take a walking tour of one of the most momentous locations in all of Romania, Revolution Square. This place was called Palace Square in 1989. It is the site of the popular uprising that brought the end of communism for the Romanian people and the demise of dictator Ceaușescu.
top of about...
The next stop on our guided tour was the opulent Palace of the Parliament. Originally one of Ceaușescu's pet projects in the 1980s, it now houses the chambers of the Romanian Parliament. We then returned to the Old Town, where our local guide gave us an informative walking tour and some recommendations for lunch. And the rest of the afternoon we were on our own.
Okay, so we are here exactly at the middle of the western part of the Old Town on Stavropoleos Street. And do you know where your hotel is located? Yes, it's actually this building, the U-shaped building, okay, on Doamnei Street. This is the National Bank of Romania. The other one is the Marmaros Hotel. The other hotel was located on the western side of the National Bank. So we will do this part over here. On this street where we enter, it's the first recommendation for lunch. It's a Caru cu Bere restaurant. Okay, so it's the second building, the neo-Gothic style building on the left hand side. Probably in most of the guidebooks, Caru cu Bere will be the first ranked restaurant and old beer house in Bucharest. And so I was saying that during the communism, the monastery was closed down. And only at the beginning of the years 2000, the whole place was restored before the nuns returned to this place.
After our walking tour ended, I went off on my own to explore more of the Old Town, knowing that tomorrow we'd be hitting the road to Transylvania.